Taeho was tired. He had been working for 16 hours without a break. His eyes were heavy, and his body wanted to sleep, but the atmospheric regulators on Deck 17 were broken, and someone had to fix them. The space station called Horizon's Edge was home to over 50,000 beings from dozens of different planets. Humans were just one species among many. They had joined the galactic community only 30 years ago, and most aliens still saw them as newcomers. Young, weak, unimportant. Taeho did not care about galactic politics. He cared about pipes, wires, and machines. He was a maintenance engineer, and he was good at his job. Tonight, however, he was too tired to be good at anything. He walked down the long corridor of Deck 17, looking for storage room 7C. He needed new oxygen filters. The old ones were damaged beyond repair. His tablet showed the room should be on his left, third door from the corner. He counted the doors. 1, 2, 3. He punched in his access code. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Taeho stepped inside, already reaching for the shelf where the filters should be. But his hand found nothing. He blinked and looked around. This was not a storage room. The space was large and filled with red mist. Strange lights glowed from the walls, casting everything in a deep crimson color. The air smelled sweet and metallic, like copper and flowers mixed together. In the center of the room was a pool. The liquid inside was not water. It was thick and dark red, steaming gently. And standing in that pool was a woman. She was tall and slender, with skin the color of pale violet. Her hair was long and white, floating around her like silk in water. Her eyes were silver, bright like two moons, and when she opened her mouth in shock, Taeho saw fangs. She was a Velthrani. He knew about them. Everyone did. They were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They lived for thousands of years. They drank blood to survive, and they were very, very powerful. This one was also very, very naked. Taeho's brain stopped working. He stood frozen in the doorway, his mouth open, his toolbox hanging from his hand. The Velthrani woman stared at him. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then she screamed. It was not a normal scream. It was high and sharp, like breaking glass. It hurt Taeho's ears and made his bones shake. Suddenly, the room was full of movement. Two female attendants rushed forward, trying to cover their lady with cloth. Guards appeared from nowhere. Their weapons pointed at Taeho's chest. Red lights began flashing. Alarms began ringing. Taeho raised his hands. I'm sorry. Wrong room. I was looking for oxygen filters." No one listened to him. The guards grabbed his arms and threw him to the ground. His face pressed against the cold metal floor. Someone put a knee on his back. Someone else took his toolbox away. "Human," one of the guards spat. "How dare you enter the sacred chamber?" "I didn't know," Taeho shouted. "The door was unlocked. I just wanted filters." The Velthrani woman had wrapped herself in a dark robe. She stepped out of the pool, her wet feet leaving red marks on the floor. She walked toward Taeho slowly, her silver eyes burning with an emotion he could not read. "Do you know what you have done?" she asked. Her voice was cold and smooth, like ice sliding over stone. "I made a mistake," Taeho said. "A big mistake. I'm very sorry. Please don't kill me." She tilted her head. "Kill you? No. That would be too simple." One of the attendants approached her, speaking rapidly in a language Taeho did not understand. The woman's eyes went wide, then wider. Then she looked at Taeho with something that might have been horror. "The Kelvora," she whispered. "You witnessed my Kelvora." "I don't know what that means," Taeho said honestly. "It means," the woman said slowly, "that by our oldest laws, you and I are now bound." "Bound? Like tied together? Like married?" Taeho's brain stopped working again. "What? What?" The attendant was crying now. The guards looked confused. The woman, his apparent wife, closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "The Kelvora is a sacred ritual," she explained, her voice tight with control. "A time of renewal and vulnerability. For an unbonded male to witness a noblewoman during this ritual, it creates a bond. A permanent bond. This law is older than your entire species. It cannot be broken. But I didn't mean to, Taeho protested. It was an accident. The law does not care about accidents. But I'm human. Surely your laws don't apply to humans. The law applies to all males, all species. It was written before we knew other intelligent life existed. There are no exceptions. Taeho felt the world spinning around him. 20 minutes ago, he was just a tired engineer looking for spare parts. Now he was apparently married to an alien vampire princess. This can't be happening, he said. And yet it is. The woman looked down at him with those silver eyes. There was no warmth in them, no kindness, only cold acceptance of a terrible situation. I am Yuna of House Velcris, daughter of matriarch Sora, third in line for the high throne of Velthra. She paused. And you, human, are now my bonded mate. The guards released Taeho. He stood up slowly, his legs shaking. He looked at Yuna, his wife, apparently, and tried to find words. I'm Taeho, he said finally. I fix air conditioners. Yuna stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned away. Take him to the holding cells, she told the guards. The council must be informed. My mother must be told. She paused at the door, looking back at Taeho one last time. And find him some better clothes. I will not have my bonded mate dressed like a servant. She left. The guards took Taeho away. As he walked through the corridors in chains, Taeho thought about all the choices that had led him here. He thought about taking the night shift. He thought about counting the doors wrong. He thought about not checking his tablet more carefully. One wrong door. That was all it took. One wrong door. And his entire life had changed forever. Somewhere in the station, news was already spreading. Messages were being sent across the stars. An emergency was being declared. A human man had accidentally married a Velthrani noblewoman. The galaxy would never be the same. The holding cell was small and cold. Taeho sat on a metal bench, staring at the gray walls. He had been here for 6 hours. No one had told him anything. No one had brought him food or water. He was alone with his thoughts. And his thoughts were not good company. He kept replaying the moment in his head. The door opening. The red mist. The woman in the pool. Her scream. The guards. The word that changed everything. Married. He was married to an alien. A vampire alien. A royal vampire alien. And he had not even asked her name before she told him they were bound forever. The cell door opened. 2 Velthrani guards entered, followed by a human woman in a formal suit. Taeho recognized her. She was Ji-Yun, a diplomat from the human embassy on the station. Taeho, she said, her voice tired. Do you have any idea what you've done? I walked into the wrong room, he said. That's all I did. That's all you did? Ji-Yun laughed. But there was no humor in it. You have created an interspecies diplomatic incident. The Velthrani High Council is meeting right now. 3 of their battleships have changed course toward this station, and the human government is demanding answers that I cannot give. Taeho felt sick. I didn't know. How could I know? You couldn't. That's the problem. Ji-Yun sat down across from him. The Velthrani are an old species with old laws. Very old laws. Laws they take very seriously. This Kelvora bond. It's real to them. It's sacred. Can't we just explain that I'm human? That I don't follow their laws? We tried. They don't care. Ji-Yun rubbed her eyes. The bond is about their law, not yours. In their eyes, you are now the legal mate of Lady Yuna. If you refuse, the consequences are severe. How severe? You would be executed for dishonoring a noble house. And House Velcris would lose status and power. There could be internal conflict among the Velthrani. Maybe even civil war. End quote. Taeho stared at her. Civil war? Because I opened a wrong door? Because you saw a princess naked during a sacred ritual? Yes. Before Taeho could respond, the cell door opened again. More guards entered. They were followed by a tall Velthrani man in black armor. The council has made its decision, the man announced. The human will come with us. Ji-yun stood up. I demand to accompany him. He is a human citizen and has rights under Galactic Treaty. He is also a bonded mate of House Velcris. Our law takes priority. The man looked at Taeho. Come. Human. The matriarch wishes to see you. They took him through long corridors and onto a private ship. The ship flew to a different part of the station, the Velthrani section, where humans rarely went. Everything here was darker, redder, more elegant. The air smelled like that same sweet metallic scent from the bathing chamber. They brought him to a great hall. Hundreds of Velthrani sat in rising rows of seats, all watching him. At the center of the room was a raised platform. On that platform stood Yuna, dressed in a formal gown of black and silver, and above her, floating in a massive hologram, was the largest Velthrani Taeho had ever seen. This had to be matriarch Sora, Yuna's mother. She was beautiful and terrifying. Her skin was darker violet than Yuna's, almost purple. Her eyes were not silver but deep red, like burning coals. Her white hair was arranged in complex patterns around her head. When she spoke, her voice filled the entire hall. So this is the human, she said. This is the male who witnessed my daughter's sacred renewal. Taeho swallowed. Yes. Yes. Matriarch. But it was an accident. Accidents do not matter. The law is clear. Sora leaned forward in her hologram, studying him like a scientist studying an insect. You are small, weak, short-lived. Your species is barely out of its infancy, and yet, by our most ancient traditions, you are now bound to the blood of Velcris. I understand that this is unexpected, Taeho said carefully. But perhaps there is some way to resolve this peacefully. Some alternative. There is no alternative. The Kelvora bond is absolute. Sora's red eyes narrowed. But do not think this means you have gained something. Human. You have not married up, you have been captured. My daughter is one of the most valuable women in the galaxy. You are a maintenance worker. I know what I am, Taeho said quietly. Do you? Then know this as well. If you fail my daughter in any way, if you embarrass her, hurt her, or prove yourself unworthy, I will destroy you. I will destroy your family. I will destroy everyone you have ever cared about. Do you understand? Taeho looked up at the terrifying hologram of his new mother-in-law. He thought about lying. He thought about begging, but something in him refused to show fear. I understand, he said, but I want you to understand something too. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this, but if I'm going to be your daughter's husband, I won't be a coward about it. I'll do my best. That's all anyone can do. The hall went silent. Every Velthrani stared at him in shock. No one spoke to the matriarch like that. No one. Sora studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, her lips curved into something that might have been a smile. Perhaps, she said, you are not entirely worthless. She straightened in her hologram. The council has reviewed the evidence. The bond is valid. The human Taeho is hereby proclaimed the official bonded mate of Lady Yuna of House Velcris. The wedding ceremony will take place in 1 week. The hall erupted in murmurs. Some Velthrani looked angry. Some looked curious. Some looked amused. Yuna stood still on her platform, her face showing nothing. But when her eyes met Taeho's, he thought he saw something there. Not hate, not love. Something more like respect, or maybe just surprise that he had survived the conversation. 1 week, Sora repeated. Prepare him. Dress him. Teach him our ways. Her hologram began to fade. And Yuna, try not to eat him before the wedding. The hologram disappeared. The hall began to empty. Guards came to take Taeho away again. As he left, he looked back at Yuna one more time. She was watching him go. Neither of them knew what would happen next. Neither of them had chosen this path. But ready or not, they would walk it together. 3 days had passed since the proclamation. Taeho had tried everything to escape his fate. First, he went to the human lawyers. They studied the Velthrani legal texts for hours. They found nothing. The Kelvora bond had no escape clause. No exceptions. No loopholes. Then he went to the station commander, a tired human man named Dae Sung. The commander listened to his story and shook his head sadly. "I wish I could help you," Dae Sung said. "But this is bigger than me. Bigger than this station. The Velthrani are one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. If we offend them, it could mean war. So I should just accept being married to an alien I don't know? I'm saying you should think carefully about your options. Sometimes the path forward is not the path we would choose." Taeho even tried to sneak onto an outbound cargo ship. He got as far as the loading dock before Velthrani guards found him. They did not hurt him, but they made their message clear. "You belong to House Velcris now," the lead guard said. "You cannot run. You cannot hide. Accept your fate, human." On the fourth day, a message arrived at his temporary quarters. Lady Yuna wanted to see him. Taeho put on the formal clothes they had given him, black and silver, the colors of House Velcris, and followed the guards to Yuna's private chambers. He expected something dark and frightening. What he found surprised him. The room was large but comfortable. Soft lights glowed on the walls. There were books on shelves. Actual paper books, which were rare and expensive in space. A window showed a view of the stars outside, and in the center of the room, sitting at a small table, was Yuna. She wore simple clothes today, a dark dress with no decorations. Her white hair was tied back from her face. Without all the ceremony, she looked younger. Almost normal. Almost. "Sit," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her. Taeho sat. On the table between them was a pot and 2 cups. Steam rose from the pot, carrying a familiar smell. "Is that tea?" he asked. "I researched human customs," Yuna said. She poured the tea carefully, her movements precise. "Your species drinks this when discussing important matters. I thought it might help." Taeho took the cup. The tea was too hot, and Yuna had added too much sugar, but the gesture touched him. She was trying. This ancient vampire princess was actually trying to make him comfortable. "Thank you," he said. Yuna nodded. She did not drink from her own cup. Of course not, she did not eat or drink normal things. She had made the tea only for him. "I know you have been trying to escape," she said. Her voice was calm, without anger. "The guards report your every movement to me. Can you blame me? No, I would do the same in your position." She folded her hands on the table. "I want you to understand something, Taeho. I did not choose this either." He looked at her. Really looked at her. Behind those silver eyes, he could see exhaustion. Maybe even sadness. "I am 300 years old," Yuna continued. "In all that time, I have never been free. I am a tool for my house. A piece in political games. My marriage was always meant to be an alliance, a trade of power between noble families." She paused. "Instead, I am bound to a human engineer who was looking for oxygen filters." Taeho almost laughed. When she said it like that, it did sound ridiculous. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know this isn't what you wanted. No. But it is what we have." Yuna leaned forward slightly. "So, I am offering you a choice. We can spend the rest of your life fighting this, hating each other, making ourselves miserable, or we can try to make the best of a bad situation. What does making the best of it look like? I don't know. I have never been married before. I have never even had a friend who was not Velthrani." She tilted her head, studying him. "But you stood up to my mother. No one does that. Even I rarely do that. Perhaps you are braver than you look, or stupider, perhaps both." Was that a small smile on her lips? Taeho could not be sure. "I am not asking you to love me. I am not asking you to pretend to be happy. I am only asking you to try. Can you do that?" Taeho thought about it. He thought about his old life, the long shifts, the lonely quarters, the endless routine of fixing machines in the dark. He thought about what he was losing, But he also thought about what he might gain: purpose, partnership, maybe even understanding. What happens if I refuse? He asked. What really happens? Yuna's face grew serious. House Velcris loses honor. My mother loses power. Our enemies move against us. There will be violence, death, and you will be executed for dishonoring me. She met his eyes. I do not want that. Despite everything, I do not want you to die. Why not? I'm nothing to you. You are not nothing. You are my bonded mate. That means something, even if I did not choose it. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. My people believe the Kelvora bond is fate, that the universe brings two souls together for a reason. I do not know if I believe that, but I am willing to find out. Teho stood up too. He walked to stand beside her, looking at the same stars she was watching. I'm scared, he admitted. I don't know your customs. I don't know your people. I don't even know if you eat humans or not. We do not eat humans. Now, she definitely smiled. Your species tastes strange to us. Too salty. Good to know. They stood together in silence for a moment. Two people from different worlds, different species, different lives, bound together by an accident and an ancient law. Okay, Teho said finally. I'll try. I can't promise I'll be good at this. I can't promise I'll make you happy. But I'll try. Yuna turned to look at him. In the starlight, her silver eyes seemed softer. That is all I ask. She offered her hand. Teho took it. Her skin was cool, almost cold, but not unpleasant. 3 more days until the ceremony, she said. We have much to discuss. Much to learn about each other. Then let's start. Teho said. Tell me about yourself. Not the princess. Not the noblewoman. Just Yuna. Who are you? Who are you? Yuna blinked. In 300 years, no one had ever asked her that question. She sat back down at the table. Teho sat across from her. And slowly, carefully, they began to talk. Outside the window, the stars watched in silence. Somewhere in the galaxy, destiny was being written, and it all started with a cup of too sweet tea. The wedding ceremony was held in the Great Hall of House Velcris. Thousands of Velthrani attended. Representatives from a dozen other species watched through holographic screens. Teho stood at the center of it all, wearing formal robes that cost more than his entire year's salary. Yuna stood across from him. She wore a gown of deep red and black, with silver threads woven through the fabric. Her white hair was arranged in an elaborate style, decorated with tiny gems that sparkled like stars. She looked beautiful. She looked terrifying. She looked like exactly what she was, an ancient being from another world. The ceremony itself was long and complicated. There were words spoken in the old Velthrani language. There were rituals involving fire and shadow. There were vows exchanged, promises made, bonds declared, but the most important part came at the end, the exchange of essence. An old Velthrani priest approached them. He was ancient even by their standards, over 2,000 years old, his skin almost black with age, his eyes clouded but still seeing. The bond requires blood, the priest announced. The bride must drink from the groom. This is the final seal, the unbreakable tie. Teho had been warned about this. For days, Yuna had explained what would happen. She had told him it would hurt. She had told him humans often fainted from the pain. She had told him her venom might make him sick for days afterward. Are you ready? Yuna asked quietly, so only he could hear. No, Teho admitted, but let's do it anyway. Yuna stepped closer. She was tall for a woman, but Teho was taller. She had to tilt her head up slightly to meet his eyes. I will try to be gentle, she said. But the first bite, there is no gentle way to do it. The venom must enter your blood. Just do it. Before I change my mind. Yuna placed her hands on his shoulders. Slowly, she leaned toward his neck. Teho felt her breath on his skin, cool and sweet. He saw her fangs extend, growing longer and sharper. Then she bit him. The pain was incredible. It was like fire and ice at the same time. It burned through his veins and froze his muscles. His knees buckled. But Yuna held him up with surprising strength. She drank from him. He felt his blood leaving his body, flowing into her. The venom spread through his system, making his head spin and his vision blur. But Taeho did not faint. He did not scream. He had spent years working in dangerous conditions, electrical shocks, chemical burns, pressure accidents. His body knew pain. His mind knew how to push through it. He stood firm. He kept his eyes open. He did not make a single sound of complaint. After 30 seconds, or maybe 30 hours, he could not tell, Yuna pulled back. Her lips were red with his blood. Her silver eyes were glowing, brighter than he had ever seen them. What are you?" she gasped. Taeho blinked. "What do you mean? Your blood." "It's..." She swayed slightly, as if drunk. "I've fed before. Many times. But never like this." The crowd was murmuring. Other Velthrani were staring at Yuna with wide eyes. Something was happening. Something unexpected. The old priest rushed forward. He looked at Yuna, then at Taeho, then back at Yuna. "The glow," he whispered. "I have not seen such a glow in 500 years. Not since the Age of Power. 7040. "What does it mean?" Yuna asked. She was touching her own face, feeling her cheeks, as if she did not recognize herself. "Human blood," the priest said slowly. "We always thought it was weak, thin, barely enough to sustain us." He turned to look at Taeho with new respect. "We were wrong. It took hours to understand what had happened." Doctors examined Taeho. Scientists studied samples of his blood. Yuna was tested again and again. The results were clear. Human blood was not weak. It was incredibly powerful. Normal blood from animals or from other alien species gave Velthrani basic nutrition. It kept them alive, but nothing more. Human blood was different. Human blood gave them strength, speed, enhanced senses. It made them more powerful than they had been in centuries. "Your species evolved on a harsh world," one scientist explained to Taeho. "High gravity, aggressive predators, constant struggle. Your blood carries that strength, that survival energy. When we consume it, we absorb that power." The news spread quickly. Within hours, every Velthrani on the station knew about the human's blood. Within days, the news reached other worlds. Humans were no longer seen as the weak newcomers. They were a resource, a treasure. A source of power that the Velthrani had never known existed. And Taeho was no longer just an accidental husband. He was valuable. That night, Yuna came to his recovery room. He was lying in bed, still weak from the blood loss, but healing quickly. She sat beside him and said nothing for a long time. "How do you feel?" she finally asked. "Like I donated blood to a very hungry vampire," he said. "Oh wait. I did." Yuna almost laughed. "Almost. You made a joke. You nearly died. And you made a joke. I find that humor helps with near-death experiences." She shook her head. "I do not understand humans. Neither do I. Most of the time." He shifted in the bed to look at her better. "So, my blood is special. Does that change things?" "Yes and no." Yuna's silver eyes met his. They were still brighter than before, still carrying some of his power. "Politically, everything has changed. You are now the most protected human in the galaxy. Other houses will want you. Other species will want to study you. You are no longer worthless. Thanks, I think. But between us..." She hesitated. "Between us, I do not want things to change. I do not want to see you as a resource. I do not want to use you." "Then don't. It may not be that simple. My mother will have plans. Other nobles will have demands." She looked down at her hands. "I tasted your blood tonight. It was intimate, more intimate than I expected. I felt your strength. Your determination. Your fear. She paused. Your loneliness. Taeho was quiet. She had felt his emotions through his blood. She had seen parts of him that he kept hidden from everyone. I am lonely too, Yuna continued softly. For 300 years, I have been surrounded by people and completely alone. Tonight, when I drank from you, I did not feel alone. Taeho reached out and took her hand. It was warmer now than before. His blood had given her warmth, at least for a little while. Then we won't be alone anymore, he said. Whatever happens next, whatever plans your mother makes, whatever other people want from us, we have each other. That's something. Yuna squeezed his hand. For the first time since they met, she smiled a real smile, not the cold political expression she wore in public. Yes, she said. Outside, the galaxy was waking up to a new truth about humanity. The weak newcomers were more powerful than anyone had imagined, but in that small room, a man and a woman sat together, holding hands, and that, perhaps, was the most powerful thing of all. 2 weeks after the wedding, they came for Taeho. He was asleep in his quarters, their quarters now, shared with Yuna, though they still slept in separate rooms. The night cycle had begun 3 hours ago. The station was quiet. Most beings were resting. The assassins moved through the ventilation shafts like shadows. There were 3 of them, elite hunters from House Draven, a rival Velthrani clan that had long been enemies of House Velcris. They had been sent with clear orders: capture the human alive. His blood was too valuable to waste. They dropped from the ceiling without a sound. Their dark armor made them nearly invisible. Their weapons were designed to disable, not kill. The first assassin reached Taeho's door. He pressed a device against the lock, and the door slid open silently. The bed was empty. The assassin hesitated. That was his first mistake. A metal panel fell from the ceiling and struck him in the head. He collapsed without a sound. The second assassin spun around, searching for the attacker. He found nothing. The room was empty. Then the floor opened beneath him. He fell into a maintenance shaft and landed hard on his back, 30 feet below. The third assassin was smarter. She stayed in the hallway, scanning with her enhanced senses. She heard a heartbeat, fast, nervous, but controlled. Human. She moved toward the sound. Slowly, carefully. Come out, human, she called softly. You cannot hide from me. I can smell your blood. I can hear your fear. You're right. Taeho's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. I can't hide from you, but I don't need to hide. The lights went out. The assassin's eyes adjusted instantly. Velthrani could see perfectly in darkness, but what she saw made no sense. The corridor had changed. Doors that should be closed were open. Walls had moved. The entire section of the station was different from the blueprints she had memorized. This station has 17 kilometers of maintenance corridors, Taeho's voice said. I've worked in every single one of them. I know where every wire goes, every pipe, every emergency seal. The assassin heard a hissing sound. Gas was filling the corridor, not poison, just carbon dioxide from a redirected life support line. Not deadly to Velthrani, but uncomfortable, disorienting. You're making a mistake, human, she growled. When I catch you, you won't catch me. A door opened behind her. She spun to face it, weapon raised. Nothing was there. Another door opened. And another. Taeho was playing with her, using the station itself as his weapon. Then she felt something she had not expected. Pain. A blade pierced her shoulder from behind. She screamed and turned to see Yuna standing there, her silver eyes blazing with borrowed human power. She moved faster than any Velthrani the assassin had ever seen. Faster than should be possible. You should not have come here, Yuna said coldly. The assassin tried to fight back. She was an elite hunter, trained for centuries in combat, but Yuna was stronger now. The human blood in her veins made her a predator among predators. The fight lasted less than a minute. When it was over, the assassin lay unconscious on the floor. Yuna stood over her, breathing hard. Her fangs extended. Yuna, Teho's voice came from a wall panel. "Are you okay?" She looked up at the speaker. "I am fine." "Where are you?" "Control room on deck 19. I've been watching through the cameras." A pause. "You were amazing. So were you." She almost smiled. "You turned the station into a trap. I turned the station into my trap. Big difference." The lights came back on. "The other two are contained. I sealed them in compartments and called security. They should be arriving now." On cue, the sound of boots filled the corridor. Station security forces rushed in, finding 3 unconscious Velthrani assassins and Lady Yuna standing among them like a warrior goddess. The security chief, a large alien with 4 arms, stared at the scene in disbelief. "Lady Yuna," he said. "What happened here?" "House Draven sent hunters for my husband," she replied. "They failed." "Where is your husband now?" A ceiling panel opened, and Teho dropped down. He was covered in dust and grime from crawling through maintenance shafts. But he was unharmed. "Here," he said. "Sorry for the mess. I'll clean it up later." The security chief looked from Teho to Yuna to the unconscious assassins. He seemed to be struggling to process what he was seeing. You stopped 3 Velthrani elite hunters?" "My wife stopped them," Teho said. "I just made things confusing." "He is being modest," Yuna said. "He controlled the entire section of the station. Moved walls. Changed gravity in specific rooms. Trapped 2 hunters without ever touching them." She looked at Teho with something new in her eyes. Something warm. "Humans are more dangerous than we knew." That night, after the security reports were filed and the assassins were taken away, Teho and Yuna sat together in their quarters. The adrenaline had faded, leaving them both exhausted. "They will send more," Yuna said. "House Draven will not stop after one failure." "I know. Other houses will try too. Now that they know what human blood can do, they will want you for themselves." "I know that too." Yuna looked at him. "You are not afraid?" Teho thought about it. He was afraid, of course he was. He was a maintenance engineer, not a soldier. He had never expected to fight assassins or be hunted across the galaxy, but tonight, he had discovered something about himself. He was not helpless. He was not weak. He had skills that even these ancient, powerful beings had not expected. "I'm afraid," he admitted. "But I'm not giving up. You're stuck with me, remember?" "I remember." Yuna moved closer to him on the couch. "When I saw them entering our home, I felt something I have not felt in centuries. Real anger, real fear. Not for myself, for you. The bond, perhaps, or perhaps something more." She hesitated, then leaned her head against his shoulder. It was the closest they had ever been without a ceremony or ritual requiring it. "Thank you, Teho. For being brave. For being clever. For being you." Teho put his arm around her, carefully, unsure if she would accept it. She did not pull away. "Thank you for saving my life," he said. "That was a pretty good sword move. I have had 300 years of practice." "Show off." She made a sound that might have been a laugh. Perhaps. They sat together in silence, watching the stars through the window. 2 people who had started as strangers, bound by accident. 2 people who were becoming something more. Partners, maybe even friends. Across the galaxy, House Draven was planning its next move. Other enemies were watching. The danger was not over, but for now, in this moment, they were safe. And they were together. That was enough. Lord Hyuk of House Draven arrived at the station 1 month after the failed assassination attempt. He came openly, with full diplomatic immunity, surrounded by guards and advisors. He was tall, even for a Velthrani, nearly 7 feet, with shoulders like a warrior and eyes like burning embers. His skin was dark violet, almost black, covered in ritual scars that told of countless battles won. He was 900 years old. He had killed more enemies than most species had living members. And he had wanted Yuna for himself for over 2 centuries. Now he was here to take her. The challenge was issued in the Great Hall, before the entire Velthrani community of the station. By ancient law, Any noble could challenge a marriage bond if they believed it was unworthy. The challenged party in this case, Taeho, would have to defend the bond through combat. If Taeho won, the bond would be proven legitimate. If Taeho lost, Yuna would become the property of Lord Hyuk. "This is madness," Yuna said when they told her. "Taeho is human. He cannot fight a Velthrani warlord in single combat." "The law is clear," said Elder Bo-Ra, Yuna's mentor and advisor. She was over 1,000 years old, with white skin and kind eyes. "A challenged bond must be defended. There are no exceptions. Then I will fight in his place." "You cannot. The law requires the bonded male to fight. It is tradition." Bo-Ra looked at Taeho with sympathy. "I am sorry, child. I see no way out of this." Taeho had been quiet during the whole conversation. He stood by the window, looking out at the stars, thinking, "When is the fight?" he asked. "Tomorrow. At sunset." Bo-Ra shook her head. "Not enough time to prepare. Lord Hyuk knows this. He chose the timing deliberately. What weapons are allowed? Any weapon the fighters bring. No outside help. No technology beyond personal equipment." She paused. "Lord Hyuk will likely bring his ceremonial blade. It has killed over 500 opponents. Interesting." Taeho turned from the window. His face was calm, too calm for a man who had just been sentenced to death. "I'll need access to the station's machine shop. And I'll need about 6 hours alone." "What are you planning?" Yuna demanded. "I'm planning to win." "How?" "You cannot match him in strength or speed. You have no combat training. He has 900 years of experience." "One." Taeho smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had accepted his situation and decided to face it on his own terms. "Yuna," he said, "I've spent my whole life being underestimated. People look at me and see a small man. A weak man. A maintenance worker." He walked toward her, taking her hands in his. "But I'm still alive. I've survived electrical fires. Radiation leaks. A hull breach that killed 6 people standing right next to me. I survive because I don't play fair. This is not the same. No, it's not. This is more important." He squeezed her hands. "I'm not going to lose you. Not to him. Not to anyone. Trust me." Yuna looked into his eyes. She saw no fear there. Only determination. "I trust you," she said. The arena was packed. Every Velthrani on the station had come to watch. Representatives from other species filled the observation platforms. Holographic cameras broadcast the event across the galaxy. At one end of the arena stood Lord Hyuk. He wore traditional battle armor, carrying his famous blade. He looked like a god of war, ancient and terrible. At the other end stood Taeho. He wore simple clothes and carried no visible weapon. He looked like exactly what he was, a human maintenance worker facing impossible odds. The crowd laughed. They pitied him. Some even looked away, not wanting to see the slaughter. The signal sounded. The fight began. Lord Hyuk charged forward, moving faster than any human eye could track. His blade cut through the air in a perfect killing arc. Taeho threw sand in his face. The crowd gasped. Lord Hyuk stumbled, momentarily blinded, his enhanced senses overwhelmed by the sudden assault. In that moment, Taeho did not run away. He ran toward his opponent. He dropped something on the ground, a small device from his belt. Then he rolled away as Lord Hyuk recovered and swung wildly. "Pathetic human tricks," Lord Hyuk roared. He rubbed his eyes and focused on Taeho. "You think sand can stop me? I will tear you apart." He stepped forward to attack and his feet stopped moving. The device Taeho had dropped was a magnetic anchor. It locked onto the metal plates in Lord Hyuk's boots, holding him in place. Not for long, maybe 5 seconds, but 5 seconds was an eternity in combat. Taeho pulled a second device from his belt. A flash grenade. He threw it directly at Lord Hyuk's face and covered his own eyes. The explosion of light was blinding. Lord Hyuk screamed as his sensitive Velthrani eyes burned with pain. Now he was blind and stuck. Taeho moved in. He had no super strength, no speed, no centuries of training. But he had something else. He had a knife, a simple blade he had made himself in the machine shop. And he knew exactly where to put it. The Velthrani heart was located slightly left of center, protected by a bone plate. But there was a gap in that plate. A small space where the major blood vessels connected. Any Velthrani would know to protect that spot. Lord Hyuk could not see to protect anything. Taeho's blade found the gap. Lord Hyuk looked down at the human standing before him, at the knife buried in his chest. His red eyes were wide with shock, with disbelief, with something that might have been respect. "How?" he whispered. "I read a book," Taeho said. "Velthrani anatomy. Very detailed." Lord Hyuk fell to his knees. Then he fell forward, dead before he hit the ground. The arena was silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The most feared warlord of House Draven had been killed by a human maintenance worker, killed with sand and tricks and a knife. Then, slowly, the Velthrani began to cheer. Not because they were happy Lord Hyuk was dead. Not because they had wanted him to lose. They cheered because they had witnessed something legendary. They had seen a human small, weak, short-lived defeat one of their greatest warriors through pure cunning. This was what humans were capable of. This was why they had survived on their brutal homeworld. This was why they would survive in the galaxy. They did not fight fair. They did not accept impossible odds. They found a way to win anyway. Taeho stood alone in the arena, covered in blood that was not his own. He looked up at the crowd, then found Yuna in the VIP section. She was standing, her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. He smiled at her. She laughed, a real laugh, full of joy and relief and something deeper. Humans, the galaxy realized, were not to be underestimated. They were terrifying. 6 months had passed since the duel. The galaxy was different now. Humans were no longer seen as the young, weak species that had stumbled into space. They were respected. Some species even feared them. The story of Taeho and Lord Hyuk had spread to every corner of known space, a maintenance worker who killed a 900-year-old warlord with sand and a knife. House Draven had retreated, their pride shattered. Other noble houses had stopped their plots against House Velcris. Even matriarch Sora spoke of Taeho with something like approval in her voice. But for Taeho, the biggest change was not political. It was personal. He woke up in a bedroom that no longer felt strange. The dark colors, the soft lights, the faint metallic smell of Velthrani incense, these were familiar now. These were home. Yuna was already awake. She sat by the window, reading from an old paper book, her white hair loose around her shoulders. She wore a simple robe. Nothing formal. In these private moments, she was not Lady Yuna of House Velcris. She was just Yuna, his wife. "Good morning," Taeho said, sitting up. "It is afternoon," Yuna replied without looking up. "You slept for 12 hours. I was tired. Someone kept me up late." Now she looked up, and he saw a faint smile on her lips. "You were the one who suggested watching human movies. I did not force you. You got very emotional during the romantic comedy. The small dog was in danger. It was stressful." Taeho laughed. He had learned so much about her in these 6 months. She loved old books and hated modern music. She was fascinated by human cooking, even though she could not eat it. She had never seen snow. And he had promised to take her to Earth someday to experience it. She had also learned about him. She knew he was afraid of deep water. She knew he talked in his sleep. She knew that he sent money every month to his sister on Earth, paying for her university education. They knew each other now. Really knew each other. "Hana sent a message," Yuna said. Hana was Taeho's old colleague, another human engineer. She had been promoted to head of maintenance after Taeho's new status made his old job complicated. "She says the new filters you designed are working perfectly." "Good. Those atmospheric regulators were a mess. You miss it, don't you?" "The work." Taeho thought about it. "Sometimes. I liked fixing things. Making broken things work again. There was something peaceful about it." Yuna set down her book. "You could still do that. You do not have to be only a noble's husband. You could teach, design systems, help improve the station. Would your mother approve?" My mother's approval matters less than yours. It was a small statement, but it meant everything. 6 months ago, Yuna would never have said such a thing. Her mother's will had been absolute. Now, she was making her own choices, speaking her own mind. She was becoming free. "Come with me," Taeho said suddenly. "I want to show you something." He led her through the station corridors, past the Velthrani section, and into the human areas. The walls here were less elegant, more functional. The lights were brighter. People nodded at them as they passed, some human, some alien, all aware of who they were. They reached a door that Taeho opened with his old access code. It was the storage room on Deck 17, the one he had been trying to find that night, so many months ago. "This is where you were going," Yuna said softly. "Yeah, room 7C. Oxygen filters." They stepped inside. It was a simple room, shelves of supplies, spare parts, nothing special. And yet everything about their lives had changed because Taeho had counted 3 doors instead of looking at his tablet. "I think about it sometimes," Taeho admitted. "What would have happened if I had found this room that night? I would have gotten my filters, fixed the regulators, gone to sleep, wake up the next day to do the same thing again." He paused. "I never would have met you." Yuna moved to stand beside him. "Do you wish you had found this room?" No. He did not hesitate. "Not anymore. Even though your life became more complicated, more dangerous, my life also became more meaningful, more interesting." He turned to face her. "More complete. More complete." Yuna's silver eyes met his. In them, he saw everything they had been through together. The forced marriage, the fear and anger, the slow building of trust, the assassination attempt, the duel, the quiet nights and the long conversations. He saw 300 years of loneliness finally ending. "I have something to tell you," she said. "Something I have been wanting to say for a while." "What is it?" She took his hands in hers. Her skin was cool, but not cold. His blood still warmed her. "When we first met, I saw you as a problem, an obstacle, a burden forced upon me by ancient laws I did not choose." She took a breath. "Now I see you as everything. You are my partner, my friend, my protector, and protected. You are my heart." "Yuna, I love you, Taeho. Not because the bond requires it. Not because your blood gives me strength. I love you because you are kind and brave and stubborn. Because you make me laugh. Because you see me, not the princess, not the noblewoman, but me." Taeho felt his own heart pounding. In all his life, he had never expected to hear those words. He had never expected to feel this way. "I love you too," he said. "I think I have for a while. I was just scared to admit it." "Why?" "Because loving you means staying. It means being part of this world. Your world forever. It means danger and politics and assassins and a mother-in-law who could kill me with a look." Yuna smiled. "Is that such a bad thing?" "No." He pulled her closer. "It's everything I never knew I wanted." She kissed him. Her lips were cool and soft, carrying the taste of something ancient and foreign. But beneath that was something warm, something human, something theirs. When they finally separated, Taeho was smiling. "So," he said, "what happens now?" Now we live. We build. We face whatever comes together." She tilted her head. "I hear humans have a saying about life giving you unexpected things. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade?" "Yes, that one." "What is a lemon?" Taeho laughed. "I'll show you someday. We'll go to Earth, see the snow, eat lemons. Maybe even introduce you to my sister." "I would like that." They walked out of the storage room together, hand in hand. Behind them, the shelves of oxygen filters sat untouched, exactly as they had been that night 6 months ago. Taeho had never gotten those filters. He had gotten something much better. In the years that followed, their story became legend. The human who walked through the wrong door. The vampire who found love in an accident. The bond that began with embarrassment and became the strongest alliance between species the galaxy had ever seen. Some called it luck, others called it fate. The Velthrani called it Kelmora, the bond that defies reason. And Teho? He called it the best wrong turn he ever made. Because sometimes the universe knows what we need better than we do. Sometimes the wrong door leads exactly where we belong. And sometimes, just sometimes, accidents become miracles. This was their miracle, and it was only the beginning.